we gonna get in here too. Let me get in here so I can. We'll let some people come on in. Right now we at 0.
We gonna let people come in slide. We gonna go live.
We just gonna wait for folks to get inside.
Live with Emma and Phoebe.
Can I? Yep, there we go.
Okay. You gotta turn that down.
Yep. That way I can see, make sure I can.
We want the phone down, down, gotta have the phone.
We got 3 in there.
Gotta have that phone. We want the phone. Sorry.
We got no. You guys are saying we know who we are. We know who we are.
It's just it was in my head, so
you know. Are so fine.
Sometimes life is a musical. You just gotta pick your song.
Let's see.
That's a copyright patent pending by moi.
Community moderation. We got a few people coming in.
Hello. That's Miss Simone.
Hi, Miss Simone. How are you? How are you? How you doing today? My degree is real. Hi, come on in. We're just waiting on a few more folks to pop in.
Oh my goodness.
Because that way I can introduce my baby.
Oh, I am the baby.
You are the baby.
I'm the youngest.
You are. You are.
All these crazy people. And they left me with the crazy. They left me with, they was the last one. They was like, here, you get to keep all the crazy for yourself.
Yeah, that is true. That is very true. Let's see who we also got coming in.
I have the phone. And we need the phone. I have that phone. And we want the phone.
All right, we got 7 in so far. So welcome. First, let me say this. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. And if you're catching the replay, good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. Welcome to Phoebe's Corner, guys. If you've seen today that I have a special guest, we are interviewing my daughter, Gabe's mom,
Hello.
Emma. You guys hear me talk about Gabe all of the time and how great he is. And we're going to be talking about and asking questions about having a child that is autistic and what that journey has been like. I am his grandma. I know what the journey has been, but I thought that this being Autism Awareness Month, I wanted to come in and just give you guys a real aspect of how passionate and how deep this topic is to me. As you've seen, you know that I love me some Gabe, but this woman right here, I love and respect. So we have so many out there that really don't get the chance to ask questions, and I want to give someone that chance and that opportunity to ask the questions that and bring up this topic for anybody that wants information and what this journey has been like. So yes, we have in here. Hi, oh, I can't even read my glasses. Sahil, honey, hi, thank you for coming on in.
Hi.
Was it Ethan is not me? Y'all seem like some Jesus loving. Oh, let's get him going.
Amen.
Let's get him going. Remove. Yep. So, we're gonna be talking to Emma.
Hi.
This is Emma. This is my baby girl out of my 4.
Yep.
And she is Gabe's mom. So we're gonna do an interview today. She is my guest.
Oh my gosh. What an entrance. I appreciate it.
You're welcome.
You kept calling me a young woman, and I was like, I'm 30. That's right. I forgot. Being the baby is like, did I ever actually grow up? Who gave me permission to adult? But like, then I see my tiny human, and it's like, okay, I guess I'm doing okay.
So we're going to also be taking questions from you guys. If you guys have any questions, I'm going to start her off with a few questions. And just bear with us because this is new for me. And this is also new for her. So we are just kind of winging some things off the top of our head. But some questions that I did bring up, I do have. And I will be sharing with you guys as we go.
If you have questions, feel free to ask them. I'm off the book. I'm happy to answer whatever. literally raising a child with autism is like, it's a community. You have to have community to really make it work. So
Yes.
I'm down to open and ask and answer whatever questions you want. I'm happy to answer. So yeah.
Hi, Janice. Welcome on in. Welcome on in. So we'll get the interview started. And if you're new, I appreciate you returning. The love is so appreciated. And this is going to be a good time. It's a serious topic, but it is a good time.
I mean,
And
I'm just a joy to be around.
That's
Like,
you are. Stop it. And if you're new, I appreciate you coming in. And if you just came by to kick it, come on in. We're going to have a good time as well.
hit a subscribe button. I don't know if it's here or like over here or like up there or like up there. Whatever you doing on whatever device you on, my mom deserves a subscription. Okay, she's top tier. You see all these bags? You see all these bags? Y'all don't even know. Y'all don't even know.
Well, that's a whole nother topic.
Sorry.
Okay, so baby girl, let's start with our first question.
Okay.
How did you discover that Gabe was autistic?
It was really a number of things. Like when Gabe was first a baby,
Mm-hmm.
he was gaining his words, he was developing like normal. And then I think as a unit we all kind of saw his regression. Like there was a point where he probably had like 10 to 12 words in his vocabulary, and then that went down to 0 and he just couldn't communicate. He stopped being able to walk like upstairs and walk in general, and there was a lot of just like weird little habits. Like he had texture issues, he wouldn't really eat the foods that kids would normally eat. It was a struggle to try to feed him. Like I was about to say, I don't know if you remember that.
I remember.
He was eating like 3 things. Like he wasn't really trying to do much. And it was honestly that day that we had that conversation, and you had pulled up the article that was like, here's like 12 things that if your kid does this, they may be autistic, that I really like read through, and he had like all 12 for like just different various little things. And it was just okay, if that's what we're looking at, maybe it's, I don't know if he's autistic, and I wasn't 100% for sure, but it was something that I was willing to bring up to his pediatrician, and lo and behold, we wasn't wrong, y'all. We wasn't wrong. So
what was your process to get through the tough times?
Honestly, a lot of prayer, but really just raising a child with autism, you have to have community. Like if you don't have community and everybody being on the same page of this is what we're doing, this is how we're going to do it, this is the best way that we have to do it, everybody has to be on the same page. So really just leaning on my community and making sure that I came and talked to you, or talked to my sister, or even talked to his dad to try to make sure that, you know, one, my peace of mind was staying where it needed to be, but also like making sure I wasn't the only one seeing the things that I was seeing. I spent majority of his time of the time with him, but even with being the person who spent majority of the time with him, he spent enough time with other people that I needed to make sure that the behavior that I was seeing was something that he was also contributing outside of the house.
Yeah, and I do remember that. It was all coming together as a family unit to make sure that his development, for how far we could get him, would be where it needed to be for him. Not just so much for us, but we wanted him to be able to get through and have the process of having some kind of communication. Because in the event that if someone hurted him.
Well, like, not only that, it was when we first got the diagnosis, the doctor was telling us, like, he's not going to be able to speak. He's not going to verbally communicate. Like, these were things that was really hard for me to come to terms with, of thinking I had this picture set in my mind of what it was going to be raising a son. And then I'm being told by these doctors, your whole experience is not going to be that. And it was a big adjustment in my mental. Like, the day that we got the diagnosis, I remember doing a 2.5 hour evaluation with the Autism Center, and then they came in and they wanted to talk to me and his dad and tell us his findings. And as soon as they were like, well, yeah, we believe he's on autism, I blacked out after that. I just blacked out and cried, because I immediately knew that I had to make the adjustment. I didn't know what the adjustment was going to look like. I didn't know what I was going to do or what was the first steps that I needed to take. But I knew I needed to adjust to give him the best life possible. And that was, it's not like, it sounds easier said than done to just be like, oh, okay, your child has some type of special need.
Yeah.
I can make that adjustment and just be there for my child. But it sometimes it's really not that. Like, there are things that there are emotions that we don't talk about enough that comes with being the parent of a child that has special needs. Like, there's a loss that is ensued because you have this picture in your head of, okay, this is going to be my perfect little child, and we're going to play, and we're going to do this, and we're going to do that.
Yeah.
And it's like, no, now I have to adjust to, let me find therapists. What's going to be the best way to help him so that he grows up to have and be the best, like, possible little person that he can be. And then honestly, if it wasn't for Dad, I don't know where I would be, because mentally, them doctors told me he wasn't going to make his milestones, and I was just like, they must be right. They medical professionals. So I gotta adjust I need to adjust to what these doctors just told me were gonna happen. And Dad fed into me like, no, he may be late for his train, but he's gonna make every single stop like every single other child. And really believing that, and then praying about that, and having Dad feed me that encouragement constantly, kind of, it honestly is the reason why Gabe is where he is today. Like, I have to give Dad his props on how he kept me mentally strong and on days that I wasn't. Because there was plenty of days that I just was not.
He did that for me too. He did. Yeah, he definitely was that one that pushed the whole family to not accept what they said.
Yeah.
And because there was days even with me, I was praying, but I knew that we needed to be able to provide him the best tools to want to get him to communicate somehow. Because we were worried that if he was being hurt in any kind of way,
we would never be able to know, because he wouldn't communicate it. And so trying to find a way to make sure that he can validly communicate. And then not only that, I think with me, I'm like, okay, he's gonna be able to communicate in these certain ways. Mm-hmm. But with Dad, he's like, I think I was soft on Gabe first. Like, I was not
super soft.
Nobody was whooping my baby. No, he was not getting in trouble for nothing. Like, no, I was pinning everything on the autism. Mm-hmm. But then it took me a while, and I think a long conversation one night with you and Dad to be like, hey, just because he's autistic don't mean he can't learn what right and wrong is.
Yes.
And once I learned the good balance between understanding that sometimes him not asking questions or him not doing something immediately is not him being disrespectful. He's literally just trying to understand.
Yeah.
So understanding the difference between those two. And then once he got his words and he really got to where he needed to be, yes, it took a long time. But he got there, and then once he got there, he really started testing the waters. And then I was like, oh, yeah, this discipline got to come. You got to know what grounded is.
So do you remember when your dad was like, no, he understands the different personality of us all, and he would do different things with each one of us? And he was getting in trouble, and we was like, we're going to get Pop-Pop.
Yep.
And then he straightened up.
Because I would be at home at my apartment, y'all, trying to get this boy to take his medicine, and he is screaming and crying and yelling in my face. And I'd be like, fine, I'm calling Pop-Pop. And I would just call my dad. And then my dad's voice alone he would instantly stop. And I'm just like, what kind of gangster is this? Is it because my voice is high? Is it because I'm a woman? Is it because I'm his mom? Like, why can Pop-Pop stop him in his tracks? On the phone.
On the phone.
And I can't get this boy to listen to me for the life of me. Like, it was a struggle bus. That part
we got to the point. I remember us having to stop using him as a way of punishing, because we wanted him also. He loves his Pop-Pop. He loves to act like Pop-Pop, so we had to
draw it back and make him find the respect for me as his mom, and not like, oh, my mom's going to tell my Pop-Pop on me. And we got there.
Yeah, we got there.
We got there.
That's
eventually. My baby now.
Yes.
There he is. What up, cutie?
Did you start without me?
You was eating lunch.
Hi.
Say hi.
Hi.
The camera's over there.
Hi. And this is Gabe now.
He's old. He's
been
about to be 10.
Yes. I'm not like 100 years old.
No, you're not 100 years old. But it took for the communication that he's able to give and to say hi and everything else. He was not like this. He didn't start talking until he was 6.
Yep.
And to put that in perspective, he's 9. So 3 years of vocabulary, he proved to me that he was listening when I didn't think he was listening.
Yes.
Because now he'll pop up memories and be like, remember when I was this age? And I'm like, you couldn't even talk then.
You sure can.
How is you remembering that stuff, crazy kid?
Yeah, my degree
You're such
is
a
real.
cutie.
You're so very welcome.
Lipstick on?
It was very important that we wanted to share this as a family because this is so passionate for us. And if for somebody who is out there and they're having a hard time and they think they're alone, I want them to know they're not alone. And even if you haven't opened your heart to accept that that is the case with your child, your daughter, your brother,
your grandson, your whatever, like it's hard. I'm not going to sit here and pretend like we didn't have hard days. We had days where he was banging his head on concrete and headbutting walls and flipping chairs and literally pulling off diapers to poop on tables. I'm not going to sit here and pretend like this was an easy process. He is a easygoing, smart, beautiful, handsome young man now. Yes. But it was a journey to get here. This was not done overnight. This was therapy 6 times a week. Yes. This was calling off of work and staying home. This was literal surgeries to help with tongue ties and getting his adenoids removed and making sure that he was able to breathe and communicate. This was IEP meetings and I literally had to fight with a school district to make sure he got what he needed. Like, there's a fight that you have to have with having any family member with autism, period. And like, if it wasn't, you just gonna take your sock off on camera. You're just such a weirdo.
Advocating is also important. Advocate for your family member. If you're advocate as a family, as a unit, as a whole, because it changes. Like, it helps them grow. It helps them mature. It helps them find their words. Yeah. And when you see that child or that person has the ability to see the different things he can get away with each person, he's in there. That person is in there, and you just got to be able to communicate on that level. And that's how we found that with him. Pop-Up was very, very, very stern about if he dropped a cup, he needed to say cup, and he had to pick it up. We weren't going to pick it up for him. Like,
and luckily we were able. So a thing that helped me a lot was cold turkey training. It's not really called cold turkey training. That's just what I call it personally. Because with Gabe, it was like, okay, we're transitioning from diapers to underwear. We just got to make the switch and then not let him change it. Yes. When we did the switch from a bottle to a cup, it was like we made sure he was fed that morning. He had what he needed and he had the nutrition. Okay, now if you're thirsty moving forward, you're going to use this regular cup. Yep. And if you're thirsty, you're going to figure it out. Yes. But the biggest thing that helped with his development was literally the whole family getting on the same page. Yeah. Everybody was very much what I said in his development is what goes, and everybody, because it wasn't even just family, it was the therapists, the teachers, the schools, everybody. Like, once we were on one page and one accord of this is how we need to do this thing, everybody did it that way across the board and set a standard. And then that, I think, was the biggest thing that helped with making sure that he got what he needed. You said, Mom, what's wrong?
Can we, why did you start without me?
Because you was eating lunch, and this interview is about you, but not about you. Yes. So you didn't need to be in this interview. It's okay. We're gonna interview you one day. Yeah, we're gonna hit you on live, and we're gonna ask you questions.
Yes, but not today. Today is Mommy's turn.
Today is about me.
I got a question for you.
Oh, sure.
Oh, what question was that?
Take a breath. Take a breath. Take a breath, and then think about your question, and then try again.
What was like your life before I was born? Like, what was things about life that you had when you were a child?
Like, what was the difference between me when I was a kid and you when you were a kid? To be honest, there wasn't that big of a difference. You had a lot of more therapy sessions and a lot more people involved in your development. Yes. But the normal life that I lived was the normal life that I tried to give you. I wanted you to feel as normal as possible. So there wasn't that big of a difference. You still learned to ride a bike. You still had friends to play with. You came in the other day with a busted lip
Yeah,
because
you
you was
did.
outside wrestling with your friends.
Yeah.
So like you had, for the most part, I tried to give you as normal of a childhood as I possibly could. That kind of emulated mine because mine wasn't that bad.
Yep. And just like you learned how to
And
dance.
mommy,
Yep.
why is that one not the same as this one?
Okay, well, that's because this is the camera that's recording us, and this is the camera making sure that there are no trolls. So the
Yeah.
lag is a little bit there.
Yeah.
Why you got us telling everybody
Yeah,
about our technical side of our video?
But you gonna say hi
yeah.
to everybody? Can you say hi?
Hi.
Okay, now I need you to be a big boy. I know you're gonna be sad that you're not gonna be in the rest of the video, but go play.
Yeah, we'll play with
It's
her.
okay.
I'll see you later. We'll see
Go
you
play
later.
Roblox.
Okay.
Okay,
Bye, baby.
Bye.
that was Gabe.
That's
It does take a village.
It does.
It does truly
It
take
does.
a village.
My
That's
degree,
real.
it does. It does. It takes a village. Because the one thing that I was not going to have, period,
Mm-hmm.
is that there was going to be separation in what she wanted for him. Because what she wanted for him was way more than what we wanted for him.
Yeah.
Her being his mom, she sees him more than we do. She lived at home for 2 years with him, but once that separation of being on her own with him,
Which was an insane process because it was like we got the diagnosis and then like 3 months later moved out.
yeah.
And that was I should have waited. I should have waited. But oh my God. We got the diagnosis, we moved out shortly after, and boy did I learn a lesson of what it was to be by yourself with a child, because
Yes,
it was just me and Gabe for the longest time.
Yeah.
And it was a learning lesson. There was a lot of things, like I have videos of him just smacking the wall and screaming and flipping chair. I'm telling y'all, this was not
easy.
this was not all sunshine and rainbows. It seems sunshine and rainbows now, especially because he's still talkative, but like
Yeah.
the other thing is that most people don't know is he's 9 years old and he still receives therapy till this day.
Yeah.
Like he still has speech therapy, he still has occupational therapy.
Yep.
He has IEP with the school. He was for a long time in a special needs class and then doing partial general education, but I got my
Thank
baby
you,
so
Melissa.
together.
Yes,
Like
you did.
he's so above par. He is now in just a regular general education class with IEP intervention. So like it takes a process, but avocation
Yeah.
is
Put this right here.
advocating is, oh yeah, look at the bag and swag. We're not talking about the bag, but it's the autism bag, so like get into the bag. Anyways, it was a whole journey. Like
Yeah.
it was a process. It was a
Yeah,
whole
and
thing.
it's been a process, but the one thing I wanted her to have is support.
Yeah.
And that part is so important. I cannot stress that anymore. If this family was divided and what his care was going to be, he wouldn't be where he is.
Absolutely.
And as her mom, I wanted her to understand that I respect her. That's her child. She knows what's best for him. It's not me taking over. Her guidance is what I needed. She taught me patience, y'all. This,
Well, also I have to give you her credit because she is so serious about that. It was that I have never had an issue where it was like, oh, but I'm grandma, so this is how I'm gonna do it. No, it was, what did your mom say? Did your mom say that you could have that? Is that what your mom lets you do at home? Like everybody, when I say everybody has to be on the same page,
yeah.
that was the biggest helpful thing for me, is
Mhm.
everybody being on that same page. I can't understate that enough. Everybody being on, don't talk to him like he's a baby. You have to talk
Yes.
to him like he's a regular person.
Just talk to him.
Just talk to him normal, or make sure that you're feeding him this in this type of way, or
Yeah.
make sure when he's throwing a tantrum, this is how we handle the tantrum versus this way. Like even in the way that he was disciplined, they didn't agree because they was,
We're old school.
they old school. I was getting beat back in the 90s.
Get
I mean,
beat.
I wasn't getting beat, but y'all know what I mean. I was getting whoopings and
Yeah.
standing in the corner with my hands out to the, but like they respected me enough to let me figure out what our journey was going to look like and what was going to work best. Because I mean, I did have
Yeah.
to make tweaks in discipline or what I did and how I did it, but they let me figure that out for myself.
Yeah, and it was just about respect.
Yeah.
What was the hardest part to finding out about him being ADHD with the autism?
Oh yeah, because we just got that ADHD diagnosis and like,
yeah.
I want to say it was like March. So it's been almost a year, or a little over, better than a year now that we've had that ADHD diagnosis. Honestly, it wasn't something that was surprising.
Yeah.
I remember when we first got the autism diagnosis, they were like, "Hey, later on down the line, it won't. Don't be surprised if we have him evaluated for ADHD, because a lot of times kids who have autism also have ADHD." So
Hey,
it was
Dazzle.
going through that process was a lot easier because it was something that we were prepared
Yeah.
for. And once he got to about age, like, I want to say 7 or so,
Mhm.
was when we were starting to be like, okay, now we have to hone in and make sure that we're paying attention to the little things that he's
Yeah.
doing to see if ADHD is even a possibility or something that we need to look into.
Yeah.
So when we made that transition, it was actually an easy transition, but I honestly, is because of everything that we went through with autism that it was so easy to go through that process. And it honestly didn't hurt nearly as much as it did going through it the first time.
Okay.
Like going through it the second time, because once you get into the mindset and you have that acceptance of, this is the child with autism, this is what we're going to have to deal with, here are the potential other problems that we may have to deal with later on down the line, you start to watch for those things sooner, in my opinion. And being able to watch and keep a lookout for those things, it wasn't a shock when we got the diagnosis. It was just like, we were like, hey, we think he has ADHD. We're about ready for...
Hey, Liz, nothing but bags. Thank you for coming
Hey. Here's the diagnosis that we think it is.
Yeah.
And we already went in with a plan of like, hey, we want a non-stimulant medicine if this diagnosis is what we think it is.
So
and
what
like,
was that like?
So that
making
was
the decision to put him on medication because you also were worried about the things you heard about medication.
Yeah.
For ADHD.
And then not only that, I've been on medication before, so like I know that the process of medication can be really hard and be a big adjustment to go to.
Yep.
But with him already being autistic, life was hard enough. We knew we didn't want a stimulant drug like Adderall or something like that where he could get addicted to it. So we chose Strattera. Strattera is a wonderful medicine for him to take. It goes by the child's weight instead of just a set milligram that you're giving them. It depends on how much they weigh, is depending on how much they get.
Yeah.
So like he takes 18 milligrams because he's like 80 something pounds. But even making that decision, it was a lot of research involved. Me and his dad had to sit down and look at different ADHD medications, what the potential side effects were, read a lot of Discord pages and things like that. There's research that goes into it, but I mean, for me personally, it was nothing to put in that work because I want him to be as successful as he possibly can. And if that means I have to knock down walls and doorways myself to create a doorway for him, I'm going to do that. So the research was...
Love you. Love you.
The research was...
Love you.
The research was... It was what it was. Like, it was... I mean, I've made itineraries for travel less than I've researched for him. Like, if I can research something, I'm going to research it until the wheels fall off.
She will.
I'm going to know all the things.
Yes.
And find all the information and join Discord pages and talk to other parents. And that's why I think this live is actually so important, because there are things that people don't talk about enough. Mm-hmm. And our kids are getting diagnosed with autism more and more. Like,
at younger ages.
It's happening more and more. I think it's one of the most like common neurodivergencies out right now.
Yeah.
Is people getting diagnosed with autism. And then there are adults, like my sister.
Yeah.
Who didn't realize that autism was a thing that they had been dealing with their whole lives. And they never had a name to it. But literally us going through the process and researching and looking for Gabe made me stop and think like,
is heaven autistic?
My sister might got a touch of autism. Okay.
Yeah.
And we, as an adult, when I literally presented it to her like a book report, and she was like, wow, I think you might be right. And like went and got the diagnosis and found out at the age of 29 that she'd been autistic her whole life. But
and that's been an adjustment.
Yeah.
That in itself has been an adjustment, because she as a child she's very, very smart.
Yes.
She's a scholar. Like, she loves to read. This child skipped school to go to the library and hang out all day.
That was the worst thing she ever did. We literally played a game of we listen but we don't judge. And the worst thing she ever did in her life was skip school to go to the library. She skipped school to have an all-day study hall, y'all. I don't know what she was doing. I was skipping school to do other things. It was a whole different
Yes.
situation.
But if you see the time and the gap in time, there's
Yeah.
a 20-year span. So back then, me raising her, I did not understand that autistic was even a word
Yeah.
or even a thing that was out there. But now here we are years later, and then Gabe comes along. I noticed something was different in him.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know that it was autism, but I started doing homework and was like, I think he's autistic.
Mm-hmm.
And I took it to her, but I wish there was somebody to bring it to me.
Yeah, because I think that's the other thing when it comes to raising a child. You don't want to believe, like, in your head, there's a part of you that's like, no, not my baby. It's not that. Or
Yes.
it's easy to just shove it off, especially when you have, no disrespect to y'all, but when you have a lot of old head people in, like,
Yeah.
these old heads who still live in the back in the day way, which is fine. Like, there's some things that really worked about how we raised kids back in the day. Like,
agreed.
it just did. And
Yeah.
there are some of those things I really wish in this generation they would bring back. But at the same time, when you don't have somebody there who's like, hey,
Yeah.
maybe you should look into this other thing, it's very easy to just push it off of, this is
Agreed.
just a quirk that my child has and they'll
Yes.
grow out of it.
Yeah,
And
she
it
didn't
wasn't
grow out of it.
Yeah, she didn't.
She reads nonstop all day. Like
She last year, her goal on her Kindle app was to read 300 some odd books. She exceeded that and read like 700. I don't know where she finds the time in the day, but I've seen her read like a 600-page book within a few hours.
Yeah.
So it's kind of insane how smart she is. But I mean, we would have never gotten there with her had we not been through the situation with Gabe.
Yeah. And whether you get diagnosed as an adult later on, it's still so important for the family to make the necessary adjustments, because with us discovering that she is also autistic and on the spectrum, it's changed the dynamic of our relationship.
Mm-hmm. And it also made us go back and apologize to her about a lot of things.
Yeah.
Because we realized there were some things that she was hiding about herself because she felt like it wasn't going to get accepted publicly, because that was just her nature with her being autistic. And we were able to take a step back and be like, you know what? We're sorry we didn't know this sooner than you. Or we're sorry if you ever felt like you were uncomfortable or you couldn't come to us or you couldn't be yourself because you spent so much time masking all of these things.
Exactly.
But if it wasn't for us looking into Gabe, we weren't.
I'd never known.
And then when looking into Gabe, I took a step back and was like, let me think about my sister and our childhood. Because me and my sister are extremely close. We're 11 months apart.
Hi, my pursuit of happiness is one say hi to people coming in. Go ahead.
No problem. That was my Rolly. That's my best friend. Like, even till this day, that's still my best friend. But with being able to see what Gabe was going through and what autism actually meant, what it looked like, what it was, I was able to be like, because I'm the person who's also the closest to you in your life.
Yes.
And I'm the only person who, she says that I'm her person because I can help her make sense of the world. And being able to take a step back and kind of look at how she viewed things and how much I was able to impact her made me be able to realize that she was potentially autistic too, and I wasn't wrong.
And this is truly my diamond, my gem, y'all. Because when I tell you, she helps with that dynamic of being able to navigate each other.
Mm-hmm.
There might be things that I have to come to her and be like, hey, am I seeing something wrong? And she'll say, yes, Mom, you are. Here's what it is.
Yeah.
And being flexible and open enough to make those necessary adjustments is so important to keep the dynamic in the family together, and communicating is in such a strong way, with nothing but love first, because we know that everything that we do is,
you have to approach it with love.
You have to approach it with love.
Approach it with love. And then we also over the years have taken it to, hey, I know who the person that I'm coming to talk to, I know who you are. I know who your spirit is. I know where your soul lies. I know where your heart is. So maybe the thing that I'm taking negatively wasn't meant that way, and it helps us take a step back.
Exactly.
And I think that was a level of patience that I found in raising Gabe. Not even being around heaven, but it was literally just, I had to realize I need to come with him with love and take a step back and realize he's not being disrespectful, or he's not throwing this tantrum because he just wants the cookie and he's not getting the cookie. He's throwing the tantrum because he's trying to communicate and he can't figure out how to communicate appropriately.
Yeah, so as you guys witnessed a little bit, like when he gets a little excited, his words, he starts to stutter and he can't find his words, and she has to tell him to slow down. And from time to time I do too. And he's really, really good at it. but he's going to need to continuously have that therapy, and it helps. I will say that I've noticed with him, his texture issues are not as bad as they were when he was younger.
It's because he found what flavor in food was. He realized he was missing out. So now he's trying to eat like everybody else. I really think that that's what happened. Because my boy was on chicken tenders and fries and pizza for the longest time. And now he's like, I want this fried fish and I want this meatloaf. And oh my God, what is lasagna like?
Yeah,
he figured it out.
Different, yes. So you guys, if you guys have questions, we are willing to take questions, and she's going to answer. So does anybody have any questions that they would like to ask and have answers to? Because this isn't just about us. This is also for everyone.
It's about you guys. This
is
what advice do you need? What questions do you have? What things, that maybe you want me to talk about a little more, or
well, how can you help us?
Like, share, give me advice.
Yeah, we don't gatekeep.
Because parenting ain't. I need people to tell me.
Hey, Simply J.
Sometimes I need advice, and if it wasn't for some of the advice that I've gotten over the years, like I didn't know what a Help Me Grow was. But Help Me Grow is a wonderful program, and they help kids up to the age of 3. And I was able to provide that information to a girl at work who now is getting the diagnosis for her son, because it was something she wasn't looking into and she didn't realize what was going on. And I was able to present her with the information that I had that made me think about it for Gabe. And I was like, listen, I'm not going to tell you what's wrong with your son, but from the sounds of it, I think this is an avenue you need to potentially consider. And I, again, wasn't wrong.
Yeah. And I would definitely say the earlier that you can get your child diagnosed,
the better.
The better.
Early intervention is everything. He was in pre-K for 3 years, and I have no regrets. He started doing pre-K with Columbus City Schools at the age of 3. After he left the Help Me Grow program, and he was going to school half days. He did it for the age of 4, and he did it for the age of 5, just because his birthday falls in a weird part of the year. Yeah. And they have this whole, if you're not 5 by August 30th, you can't. It was stupid, but honestly, that extra year pre-K, I think, was so helpful.
Oh, it's so helpful. What grade is he now? He's in third grade. Third.
Which is, he's still not behind. He's the oldest in his class because he turns the next age right at the top of the year, but he's still in that age range that you're supposed to be for a third grader.
And how would you say, as far as like educational wise, like, is he getting all the subjects like all the other kids, or is he in a special classroom still? Or
no, he's in just straight gen ed. Okay. He does have an IEP where he gets to have extra time to do like testing, like state testing and stuff like that. But even with him having the IEP to have the extra time, if he needs it, he's never needed it. He turns in his homework early and gets extra dojo points. Nice, he's trying to get extra credit on purpose. Like, he loves doing the schoolwork. He's so smart. Like, the things that we thought he wasn't learning just because he couldn't talk, he was still learning them. And I was like, oh, my bad, buddy. Like, there was a day where I told him he needed to read a book, okay? And it was the funniest thing in the world, because I told him he needed to read a book, and I didn't trust that he wouldn't pick a book that he's read before and memorized. Yeah. So I was like, I'm gonna pick the book. You're not gonna pick the book. I'm gonna pick the book. So then I picked this book called Fly Guy Fly. Fly Guy Fly is hilarious. Y'all should read it. It's literally about a fly. But I gave it to him, and I was like, read this book. And he came back to me 10 minutes later and was like, I'm done. And I was like, ain't no way you read this chapter book. Because it was like, it was 3 chapters, but it was like a small little chapter. I was like, there's no way you read this chapter book in 10 minutes. Ain't no way. Tell me what the story's about then. Me and his dad opened up the book, and I'm telling you, bar for bar, line for line, he knew every word of that book. And he ain't ever read it because I had just bought the book. Wow. So he had really read the actual book, and he was able to tell me exactly what the book was about. And I was sitting there with my mouth covered, cracking up, because I felt so bad. I was like, I played him, because he knew. He had it. He had it from top to bottom. And I was like, okay, you know what, buddy? I'm sorry. You know what this book was about. High five. Here you go. Go ahead, play your video game. Do you, buddy?
So Dazzle has a question.
Sure.
She said she missed the first 15 minutes. She said she just heard you say he wasn't talking. She said, how old was he when he started talking?
Gabe didn't start talking until he was about 6 and a half.
He's 9 years old.
He's 9 now. He had about 10 to 12 words when he was like 1 and a half, and then he regressed backwards, and then he all of a sudden just couldn't talk anymore.
Yeah.
And he didn't start talking and forming like real like he got like one or two words, and they were kind of very stuttery words. Like nobody could make him out but me.
Yeah.
That was a very interesting time in life where I understood what he was saying, but I was with him all the time.
Yeah.
But nobody else understood what he's saying. And I even had teachers like who would be surprised that he would even try to talk gibberish to me, and they would be like, "We never heard him speak before at all. He just would not talk."
Yeah.
But then around like 6.5, after years of therapy, he was doing therapy for about 6 times a week. He would do 2 therapies on a Monday, 2 therapies on a Wednesday, 2 therapies on a Friday. And then at about 6.5, he started formulating like real coherent sentences that other people can hear. I see you over there. He's back.
Can we help you?
This is Gabe for anybody who just joined in and missed him earlier.
Yes, because
he loves being around. Oh,
yes.
Group hug. Okay.
And he loves YouTube. That's his.
He does. His upset. He wants to be a YouTube content creator about big cats specifically. He wants to teach the world about all the things about big cats.
But we'll do that one another day.
True.
True.
And I want to build my own zoo with my mom.
Build my own zoo with my mom. That's
Yeah.
right. I'm down. Okay, go play.
Oh.
Ah.
We'll be down a little bit.
Okay.
There's another. Thank you for sharing. Oh, no problem. And then, yeah, that's Gabe.
That's Gabe.
He is handsome.
There he is.
I think he's a handsome little guy. He's
He
my
got
favorite.
And he got a fresh haircut, too.
He did. He got his haircut on
He
Tuesday.
fresh. He fresh.
He's a handsome little man.
So, I had another question for you myself.
Mm-hmm.
In this journey, how have you been able to keep yourself, find your self-care days? That's one of the things that in my video, I always stress to everybody about doing self-care, because you can't take care of anybody if you're not taking care of yourself.
Yeah.
So how in this process have you been able to have your self-care days, still be mom, still be girlfriend, still be daughter? Where do you find the time for you?
I ain't even gonna lie. I ain't even gonna hold y'all. I didn't figure that out until probably last year.
Wow.
I truly didn't figure that out
8 years?
Yeah, I truly didn't
gosh.
figure that. All of my time was dedicated. If I wasn't working, it was Gabe. Everything was Gabe.
Hi, Melissa.
But
Thank you for coming in.
I went through a phase that I was really drained, if I'm being honest. I went through a phase where I was really drained. I didn't know who I was as a person. I didn't know who I was outside of Gabe's mom. Like, if Gabe was to turn 18 today and grow up and get married and walk away, I wouldn't know who I was outside of Gabe until last year. And it took a lot of soul searching. It took a lot of praying. And now I just find the little moments for myself in the day. And I learned that it's just because they're children and just because he's autistic and he's an only child doesn't mean that I'm not allowed to say no. It took me a long time to realize that
you and that yes with him was too
much. It was literally whatever he wanted to play, no matter how tired I was, no matter what I had to do, I was giving the time to Gabe. And it took me a while to figure out how to say no and just find those little moments for myself. So now he gives me yes days. Like, he voluntarily gives me yes days.
So Dazzle has a question. She said, did you do counseling as a mom?
Yes, actually. When we first got him diagnosed and he was doing therapies, I did join group counseling. For literally just for moms with autism. They have those here in Columbus. You can actually go through children's and they have like support groups and things like that.
Yeah.
I did have to do that for a while, and it was less because I was trying to find myself and more because I was trying to find a way to accept what was going on. Mm-hmm. I was putting all this work and this time and this research into something, but I hadn't actually accepted it. Like, I was doing the work because I knew I had to because I was his mom, but I hadn't accepted it for myself and like mourned the process of what I thought it was going to be. So counseling actually helped me a lot get to that place of like, just because he's autistic doesn't mean my child is going to be any less of the little amazing human he is. And it took me a while to get there, but mom counseling is definitely helpful. Mom support groups are wonderful. I advocate for leaning on other moms. Like, join the mom support groups on Facebook and share the good times and the bad times. Sometimes sharing the bad times were the things that got me through, because sharing those with other moms with autism allowed me to be able to see that I wasn't alone.
Yeah.
Because I would share what I was going through, and then they'd be like, oh yeah, girl, I had that same thing last week. Here's how I dealt with it. Like, those things are helpful. Those things,
Yes.
I get that, like, they're strangers, so you don't want to necessarily like put your business out there, but you have to stop viewing it like that. Think of it as you're telling your friends who are also dealing with the same things that you're dealing with.
Exactly.
And that is the thing that helps the most, of being able to have somebody else tell you you're not crazy in the things that you're dealing with.
Dazzle Me 77, she said, that's powerful. She says, thank you for your transparency.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate that. I try to be as transparent as I can, because what am I gatekeeping autism for? We all need to talk about it. Sometimes it's the conversations that you have to have. Like, there are things that I feel like people don't talk about enough.
Yeah, I agree. And it's time to really just open up about those things.
Yeah.
Because even as his grandmother, I kind of went through the same thing, and I ended up going to counseling myself.
I think everybody had to. Like,
yeah, because we didn't know how to process this one because it was so big.
When you love somebody, whether you're their parent, whether you're their grandparent, aunt, uncle, or whatever, even if it's just your friend, if you hold true love for somebody, and when you hold that love for somebody, you have a vision of what your life is going to be like, even if it's just small glimpses into the future. And when those things change, they can be heartbreaking, and you have to be able to mourn them, because they are losses. Like, they're not losses in the traditional sense of like somebody up and passed away, but it's a loss of the thought that you had, the vision that you created of the life that you were already planning. Plans have to change.
Yes, they do. And that's part of life, but you also have to make the adjustment. Find a different way. You still love the same.
Yeah.
But you just have to find another way of love, and it requires true patience.
Oof.
The patience. When I tell you, she's taught me patience, but Gabe taught me to slow down and relearn.
Mm-hmm.
I had to relearn how to be his grandmother, because I needed to be the grandmother he needed, not what I wanted.
Mm-hmm. That's it.
And
that's the exact thing. Yeah. You have to adjust your vision of, not the vision that you thought you were going to have, but adjusting for the vision that is now required for that person.
Yes.
That's a real thing.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. This has been a great conversation. I'm learning so much, and I get to see my baby in a new light. Like, I always tell her how much I believe in her, but I really needed her to understand the amount of love and respect, not just because she's my daughter, but I truly value the woman that she has become, the mother that she has become.
Thank you.
And even if she wasn't mine, I would have still loved to know her, and would have loved to still do this interview, because a lot of people are not talking about having an autistic child and what their experience is as a parent.
Also, some people just aren't doing this.
Yeah.
Like, I truly don't understand parents who don't put it, like, the amount of work that I put into Gabe. I chose him. He didn't choose to be here. He didn't choose this life.
Yeah.
He didn't choose to be on this earth. He didn't choose to have to deal with the problems that we deal with in the world as Black people, as people in general. He didn't choose any of this.
Yes.
I chose it for him.
Yes.
So it's my responsibility to do all these things. And I don't understand people who don't think like that. You chose it.
Wow, that's powerful.
He didn't choose to be here. I chose him to be here. Abortions are a real thing. Let's be real. They are.
Yeah.
People have abortions every day. Miscarriages are a real thing. Gabe should have a sister right now, and he doesn't, because I had a miscarriage. At the end of the day, I chose to carry him in my belly. You were there. Originally, I was going to have an abortion, and then I was going to give him up for adoption. And it took until I was 8 months pregnant to choose to keep this child.
Yeah.
I chose to keep him. And in choosing to keep him, I decided that I was going to give him everything. I even told his father. Given his father is in his life, his father is very present in his life. He's a great father.
Yeah.
But I remember when I was pregnant, we were super young.
They were 19, just fresh out of high school.
I hadn't even turned 20 yet.
Yeah.
I think I was 20. I turned 21 while I was pregnant. But so I essentially gave up my entire 20s. And once I made the choice that I was keeping him, I even had that conversation with his father of like, listen, I don't want anything from you. I don't want child support. I don't want you to have to do anything, because at the end of the day, it's not we're choosing to keep this child. I'm choosing to keep this child regardless of what you choose to do. He's going to be here. I'm going to be his mom.
Yes.
I made this choice for him.
Yes, you did.
So I had no, in my opinion, because I made that choice to keep him, I have no other choice but then to put this work in.
Yeah.
It was my choice to keep him, and
That
that
was your
means,
commitment.
yep, and my commitment means that I have to commit to everything that comes with having this child, no matter what that looked like. It was a lot, and it took a lot for me to come to terms with, but at the end of the day, I still chose to keep him, so it was what I had to do. I'm the mom.
Is this the best decision?
Oh, it was the greatest thing. I can't imagine my life without that kid now. I don't know what my life would look like. People have baby fever. Y'all don't understand. Gabe was a top tier, top notch, cute little chunky little baby.
He was
And
so big.
I don't have baby fever for nobody else's baby. I see other babies, and where other people are like, oh my God, now I want a baby. No, I want my baby to go back to being a baby. I want that baby again, carbon copied, because he's so perfect to me. I can't imagine. I look back at myself now, and I'm like, I don't even know how I ever thought I was going to give anything up for adoption.
Mm-hmm.
And that's just, I don't know where I thought my heart was at, because I know later down in life it would have probably been a lot different for me. Not in the sense of like, oh, I would have been happier or something. I think I would have been miserable knowing that there is a little creature out here with my face that I don't get to see.
I have to thank you so much for your transparency with this, because these are topics and things that no one is talking about.
Yeah.
And we're talking about it here. So we have this opportunity, and we've already been on here for a good, we started at 3:30, so almost an hour in. Does anybody have anything that they want to ask? I think I did write down that I had another question, but is there anything that anybody else out there is wanting to ask? You can ask questions. We are answering them.
Excuse my snorting. I got allergies.
We are answering the questions because this is an opportunity that we're hoping that this interview will help someone. Yeah. And why I am in here too.
And if I only help one person or touch one person's heart, that's all I needed. I did my job.
Exactly. And I just want to bring this back, now that it's about the bags, but ATL Ventures, this collaboration that Dooney and Burke did with this company, it allows programs for people with autism to get jobs when they get older, be out on their own. So if you are thinking that your child is out there, you're going to have to do this for the rest of your life, there's programs.
There's not only that, there's resources.
There's
like
so many
resources. Has a caseworker through the Franklin County Board of Developmental Disabilities that literally will be with him for the rest of his life. Like, he may transition to another caseworker as he ages and goes through the process, but he will always have a caseworker there so that when he does become 18, he is self-sufficient and he can pay bills and do things on himself. Like, and don't get me wrong, that was a process. We were 231 on the wait list, and we went on the wait list when he was 3. He didn't get a coordinator till last year. Like, it was...
And keeping last year, when she say last year,
I mean,
Gabe is 9.
2024.
So it took 8 years to be on a waiting list to get what he needed. But the main thing is
you cannot give up in the process.
Yes.
There are things that are going to be a wait list. There are things that are going to be hard. It's going to be a lot of hard conversations, a lot of evaluations, a lot of doctor's appointments and everything else. And it's going to get overwhelming. I'm not even going to pretend like it's not. It's going to get overwhelming.
Yeah, I remember conversations of us, you upset.
Yeah, and literally crying in the car because I'm just like, I don't know what to do with myself. But literally just take the time for yourself, pray about it, make sure you have your community, and you can get through anything. Do not give up on the process. The process is worth it in the end, because now look at him. Y'all seen that big old kid. He talk like a grown man now.
So now I feel like my last question is probably relevant because you probably have already answered it. My last question is, what is the hardest thing and the most rewarding thing about raising your son?
Ooh, the hardest thing about raising him. Honestly, there's a list. No, I think the hardest thing about raising him was figuring out what it was going to take to get him where he is today.
Yeah.
Like, it truly was a lot of research, a lot of time, a lot of faith that he was going to get to where he needed to get.
Yeah.
And the most rewarding part is to see who he is now. Like, he has a whole personality. He's a cool little dude. Like,
he is.
He's so cool. Like,
he is. He's a cool dude.
He says he has a Sigma face. I'm gonna call him up here before we end this interview so y'all can see his cool guy face, because it's top tier. But no, just the person he is now, and just seeing his growth and his development, and hearing him recall things from when he couldn't speak, and asking me questions about those things now. I'm like, oh, he's been sitting on questions since the age of 3. That's crazy.
Yes. So in that process, in all the testing that he's had, have you for testing him for a little bit, what do they call it, savant syndrome?
Yeah, savant syndrome.
What has those results, and like, does that answer questions about the things that with his recall?
It did answer a lot of questions on his recall, as well as it answered a lot of questions about where his obsessions come from. Because when I tell y'all he is obsessed with big cats,
yes,
look at my face. He is obsessed with big cats. It's really bad. Like, it's impressive to anybody who's never heard it before.
Yeah.
But as a mom, it's repetitive. I know the facts about big cats that I, as just a natural adult, would never have wanted to, like, I just didn't care to know. And didn't look at, but he knows the knowledge, and he has the knowledge. He does. And I didn't know why the obsession became so strong in him until we learned about savant syndrome.
Yeah.
And then I was like, oh, okay, so he's not only going to, it's not an obsession, he just has all the knowledge and wants to recall the knowledge on this one subject.
Yes.
And now he's almost 10 years old, talking about how he wants to be a veterinarian and a zoologist, and he has a plan to open up his own zoo, and I have to be a zookeeper, and he's no, but like, it's crazy because he's looking up land and what kind of land and environment he can get to make sure he can have certain types of animals.
And he's 9.
And like, what the property taxes are going to be, and what is going to, how much money he needs to save up to do that, what he needs to do in college, and he's 9. Like, so to see him get to that space is honestly impressive. To know where we started and to see where he is now, like, it reassures me that I'm doing something right. And you are.
You're doing everything and then some. I'm very, very proud of you. Yo, that's my baby. I'm very, very proud of her. She has done some tremendous things with this kid and with herself. And I'm so proud of you for finding the time not only to raise him, but finding that time to take care of yourself and find that self-care process in the meantime. So, you guys, we have been on here a whole hour. I do not want to hold y'all all too long. We're going to say goodbye to Gabe so Gabe can come up, because we want to make sure that
he's going to be mad if we end this video and he don't get to say bye if
yes. So we're going to, Gabe.
Yeah?
You want to end this video with us?
Yes.
Okay, and I promised them that they can see your Sigma face. You guys show, okay, ready? Hit him with the cool guy face. You got it.
Okay, I got stop motion.
Don't laugh.
Okay. I'm so sad.
It's okay. Don't laugh. It's
you don't laugh. You're fine. You ready?
Okay.
Go ahead.
Hit him with the cool guy face.
You ready?
You got it. Yeah. There you go.
Let me try again.
Such a cool man. All right, you say bye.
Okay. Say goodbye.
Bye, everybody.
So, also, before y'all go, to remember to make your corner of the world as happy as you possibly can. And also remember to stay loving, stay kind, stay patient, and stay safe. And remember to do self-care. And we will see you in the next video. And over here, Phoebe's Corner, Phoebe is very happy. Thank you, Emma, for coming in
Absolutely.
and speaking to Gabe with us and doing this interview. Thank you, Gabe, for coming in and having a good time with us and saying goodbye.
You're welcome.
His video and his interview will be coming up, when?
April 12th?
we'll see.
No,
Probably.
Yeah,
Maybe.
I was gonna say I don't think next week we got a giant family event, so it will not be April 12th, but it'll probably be the Saturday after that you
Yes.
will see us interview Gabe and ask him questions, because I want you guys to see how
Yes.
just crazy wicked smart this kid is.
Yes.
And he loves being on YouTube and on camera. What's up?
What is the big family event?
There's a cookout in Cleveland.
Yes.
Oh.
Yeah.
All right, you guys. Thank
And
you
Mommy?
so much for joining us. Thank you so for staying in and having a good day with us. We're going to get out of here and we're going to end this and say goodbye.
Bye.
Bye.
Oh no, she can't stop the live.
There we
you
go.
go.